Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I've got 3 stories to share with you in this latest Moon Lambo Hot Jam. I'll start with this one from the Crypto Basic. Ripple moves 506 million plus XRP, raising concerns of systemic sell-offs. And folks, none of us know for sure what's happening. With Ripple specifically. I mean, unless you work at Ripple and you have some sort of inside knowledge, but that's not the vast majority of us, obviously. We don't know for sure what's happening. And everyone's entitled to their speculation and their own opinions, sure. But I just got to tell you, some of the talk, and not that it's from a ton of people, but there's been discussion of concern. That's why this article exists. People raising concerns. There's been so much talk about Ripple abandoning XRP because XRP is not on Liquidity Hub, but they're adding stable coins, this and that. There's been a number of reasons, and then so there's already that talk going. Then you see big transactions here, and there's this narrative, and I'd like to do my best to just push back against that because I don't think it makes sense. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I really don't think it makes sense. I think that it couldn't be more crystal clear that Ripple. It couldn't possibly be more, and I will articulate why at the beginning part of the video. I think it's very clear Ripple has never been more invested in XRP in a number of ways. There's also this headline from the Crypto Basic. Ripple ODL sees 1,729% growth in cross-border transaction volume with Transglow. Wait a minute. So which is it? Is Ripple abandoning XRP? Are they no longer as interested? Or is XRP increasingly becoming important in their business model? You guys tell me. And then there's also this one, which I think is just an extension of, there's a reason Ripple's even tracking this. It's an extension of Ripple's core plan because XRP is at the core of everything that Ripple does. Just about anyway. I mean, it's always there. It's this underlying, I guess you could word it as, it's basically just this state of being that is just understood by pretty much everybody working at Ripple. And this is just my assumption. This is the way that I've worded it in the past. It just seems like it couldn't be more obvious that XRP is at the core of what Ripple's doing here. Everything that matters in terms of expansion, this and that. And part of that is they understand the importance of a bigger crypto pie, and that's good for XRP. So even when they're doing other stuff in the world of crypto, even adding stable coins, which alarmed some people, I don't find any of that alarming. It's still, they still have at the forefront of their mind XRP. Because that is what has resulted in them having more money than God. And they're just going to suddenly abandon that. I just don't see it, folks. But the headline here, Ripple new report shows 9 out of 10 central banks exploring central bank digital currencies. But before going further, I do want to be clear. I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And so let me state this. As I've been reporting, whales are mostly accumulating XRP, not selling it, right? We're seeing XRP institutional inflows at a time when we're seeing institutional outflows for Bitcoin, which is telling. I mean, we're talking about to the tune of millions of dollars flowing out from institutions for Bitcoin, but a modest increase with XRP. Well, that's something, is it not? And there's nothing to indicate Ripple is now abandoning XRP in any capacity. And in fact, XRP is only being, becoming a more and more crucial aspect of Ripple's business model the more time passes. And in fact, I suspect that if the importance of XRP to Ripple decreased for any reason, their shareholders would be screaming bloody murder. Because think, so even if there's some sort of discount, on the share price of Ripple, the company, based on the amount of XRP they hold, because mind you, there is an assumption, and it's pretty well understood, frankly, that Ripple's market cap as a company is not going to be equivalent to their XRP holdings, because it's understood that even if Ripple could sell all that XRP right now, and they can't because it's an escrow, but even if they could, that would start tanking the price of XRP. And so, in terms of the nominal value of what they're actually holding, it isn't what you might think it is on face value. It just isn't. So when you try and factor in what Ripple as a company is actually worth, you've got to take a hit on whatever on the surface that XRP value of their holdings is worth. And probably a pretty substantial hit, right? But it's still worth something. It's not worth nothing. It's definitely worth something. And Ripple is profiting from this. And good for them. I don't care. I'm happy for them, right? But the point is, XRP can't stop being important to Ripple. They have fiduciary responsibilities to their shareholders. They're not a publicly traded company yet, but they have shareholders. Okay? So, no, XRP is not going to cease to matter to Ripple. Hell no. They would be in big trouble if that were the case, and it wouldn't be in their best interest here. And so part of what they ended up, I don't want to read this article, there are a couple key points to this, and they end up noting that out of this big number, the 506 million XRP tokens moving, like a big chunk is moving to Bitstamp, right? Now, Bitstamp has been a key Ripple partner since when? Probably over half a decade at this point, a key on-demand liquidity partner. And also, in May of this year, Ripple bought an undisclosed amount of the company. Remember this headline? This is from, where's the date on this? Here, May 25th of this year. Ripple president explains why the company acquired a stake in crypto exchange Bitstamp. And so, think about this. The fact that a large quantity of XRP flowed to Bitstamp, which has been a key partner for over half a decade, and which they own a chunk of, is this a negative? This is somehow a negative, because that's how they're spending. Like that's how some people in our community are spending it. And I just respectfully disagree. I don't think you're crazy if you think that. I just respectfully disagree. That's it. You're not in Looney Tunes land. I just don't think it makes sense. That's it. It's not like you're in conspiracy theory land here. But this is what they cite. And again, I don't feel the need to read the whole article, but how is your brain getting there? I just got to ask. No disrespect, but like what is the logical thought process? I'm just not seeing it here. And in fact, there is this, and this is from my fellow XRP YouTuber Crypto Eddie. She shared this video clip, which went on for a little over 11 and a half minutes with a Ripple employee. I believe that's Navin Gupta, if I'm not mistaken, on your screen right there. And here's what Crypto Eddie read, because she was kind of pushing back against this idea that Ripple's abandoning XRP, which just doesn't make any sense, folks. And so she wrote, Ripple isn't abandoning XRP. They own billions. It's used as a strategic weapon. And there's a quote that she mentions in parentheses there, I believe from David Schwartz. And she says, to become an Amazon, one must expand, giving clients what they want. Stablecoins, etc. And so that would be a reference, obviously, to the recent news that stablecoins have been added to Liquidity Hub, while XRP itself has not yet been added to Liquidity Hub. And so, look, I even think there's a good explanation for that. Because, yes, it was cited by Ripple publicly that XRP is not a part of Liquidity Hub, even though it was originally planned to be, specifically because of the lack of legal clarity. And now XRP has legal clarity. So you'd think, why aren't they adding it? Well, yes, XRP has legal clarity, but as it pertains specifically to Ripple's transactions, they're in a lawsuit still. That bitch ain't over, son. So for Ripple, we need to see the actual totality of that. It has to come to an actual conclusion. So we got what we needed as XRP holders, but let's just respect where Ripple's coming from here, because I'd be willing to bet that's the reason. That's my speculation on that. But even so, the adoption of XRP as our bridge currency, which is what Ripple's going for here, it's just astronomical. Again, the headline from the Crypto Basic. Ripple ODL sees 1,729% growth in cross-border transaction volume with Transglow. The Edge Singapore recently published a report capturing the staggering volume of transactions Ripple facilitated through its on-demand liquidity partner, Transglow. And folks, I will note, I know that Ripple is no longer using the branding of on-demand liquidity, but we all know what it means, and it's how it's written in the article, so we're just going to leave that one live for purposes of this video. It's fine. And then they wrote, according to the report, Transglow enabled small and medium enterprises, SMEs for short, to process nearly $1 billion via Ripple's ODL. In particular, it mentioned that ODL transactions increased from $53 million 2 years ago to $970 million last year. Folks, did you hear what I said? From $53 million 2 years ago to $970 million. With XRP at the core of all of that. Call me crazy, but I think that's badass, and I think it matters, especially as more time passes and this asset class matures, and I think more money ultimately flows to where the utility is. It's just one more thing. And so it's not that Ripple is going to be the reason that XRP does so-and-so, and provably it's the case that XRP just follows Bitcoin, broadly speaking, but in a mature asset class, I think the entirety of a cryptocurrency's ecosystem matters, and Ripple is a positive part of this. It just is. So I love to see this. Of course I do. Piece continues. The gap in the ODL process transaction within that period implies a 1,729% growth. And shout out and credit to Crypto Eddie. She's been covered a lot by the crypto basic lately, actually. And she posted about this, and she wrote, according to Malaysian media group at the Edge Malaysia at Transglow, ODL increased more than 1,700%. And then there's also this. So this goes back again to a piece of Ripple's business model, with XRP being at the forefront of mind. It's always at the core of the business model, even if they're doing other stuff. Ripple, okay. What they're doing in pushing for the adoption of central bank digital currencies, look, they view it as an inevitability. So whatever you think about CBDCs, the point is it's going to increase the velocity of money, which increases the need for a jurisdictionless cryptocurrency like XRP that can be used as a bridge, which has something that, a quality about it, if you look at a particular metric, which can't be programmed into it, which is liquidity. Because you have to have liquidity is more important than price for positioning XRP as a bridge currency. Because if the price of XRP doesn't matter if it's $10,000, if nobody's buying and selling it, and that's just the market price because that's the last sale price, well, if there isn't liquidity there, if it didn't exist, then how are you going to bridge it if there's nothing to transfer? So yes, price matters, and if there's a bigger price, it's easier to engage in larger transactions. So I'm not saying price doesn't matter, but you need a sufficient blend of price and liquidity, and so that's why having a highly liquid XRP, even if at a way lower price, like even today at 51 cents, whatever it is at the time I'm recording this, the liquidity is actually more important if you're Ripple, because you need liquidity. It's on-demand liquidity. There's a reason it was called what it was called, right? But anyway, the point is, with increasing the velocity of money, XRP is just going to become more and more useful for their specific use case for XRP. And so the headline here, Ripple new report shows 9 out of 10 central banks exploring central bank digital currencies. A recent report from Ripple suggests that 9 out of every 10 central banks are researching CBDCs, with some of these central banks turning to Ripple for CBDC partnerships. Central bank digital currency, CBDC, is a concept that has been gaining traction in recent years. The pandemic, a decline in cash payments, and the growing adoption of cryptocurrencies have played a part in the growing trend. Ripple has highlighted the growing CBDC trend in its latest report. According to the report, 9 out of 10 central banks are actively exploring the possibility of launching a CBDC. The report is based on a study conducted by the Bank for International Settlements. In the 2022 study, 81 central banks were surveyed. BIS reported that 90% of these apex banks are working on different stages of CBDC deployment. And there's a chart here for those of you that care to look. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Sorry, folks. Came out of nowhere. So there's a chart titled Timeline Race for the Future of Money. And so it shows that there are 11 CBDCs launched. So this is the number of countries and currency unions exploring CBDCs over time. So there's 11 launched, 21 piloted, 32 in development, 46 researched, 16 inactive, 2 canceled, and then 2 other, whatever other is. So directionally, this is where we're going. It's going to be easier and less expensive to move money around the planet. There's always going to be a place for a jurisdictionless bridge currency like XRP for this particular use case. And XRP is never going to have 100% of the share for this particular use case, and it doesn't need to, and it doesn't matter. It's not a negative. That's just being a realist. That's fine. That is not bad. But I'm telling you, with geopolitical differences from nation to nation, the idea of holding certain currencies, especially with inflation for certain, like the Argentine peso, what a joke, Although I guess the United States here where I live, we're kind of like in the phase where we're like, hold our beer, but we need to prove that we can destroy the United States dollar worse than the Argentine peso has been destroyed, right? But I'm just saying there are reasons that you wouldn't necessarily want to have a particular asset as a bridge currency if there's counterparty risk. And so with XRP, yeah, it's volatile to whatever degree, but you can get in and out of XRP very quickly. It's very cheap. It's very fast. And there isn't counterparty risk. Yes, the price fluctuates, but there's no counterparty risk. So when you think about with the dollar, of course there is. Not every nation wants to hold the dollar, obviously. It just is the global reserve currency. But this gives the central authority of the United States dollar, the United States, supreme power over it. And I don't suppose that you're thrilled about that if you're running a country, unless the country you're running is the United States. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to state, right? So it's not that stablecoins can't be used for this or that. It's fine. There's always going to be a place for something like XRP. And then on top of that, even if you're going to try and build out something like on-demand liquidity, utilizing a stablecoin, I still always go back to, okay, what company's doing this? What's the profit model? What's the incentive here? How are you making money of all this stuff? Who's the customer support team that's going to onboard all these customers? What's the tech support? What's the model? Because Ripple's doing all of this stuff, and they have a model that works for them. But you know, they're also able to sell XRP, and some Bitcoin maxis will name that as a negative, and I'm just like, I don't care. To me, it sounds awesome that this is real world utility. To me, it's never been the case that somebody else making money is going to turn me off. And then understanding Ripple doesn't have any special powers over the XRP ledger, I don't care what they do. And fine, maybe they could fool me and they start to say, oh, you tricked me. I've been holding 6 years. Now you start dumping a bunch of XRP. I don't think it's in their interest. I don't think they're going to do it. They're going to sell slowly over time, and it's never going to, in any sort of notable way, impact the market because they're selling a fraction of a percent of XRP over at any given time period. So I'm not worried about that stuff if you get to cut them out, Gio. So anyway, everything's going according to plan. Let's not worry about this, right? So anyway, hopefully that sounded persuasive. I think I'm right about this. If you guys have a compelling case or something that I'm unaware of or haven't considered, if you bring a compelling argument, I'm always willing to be persuaded. I just think it's fun to talk about this stuff. So you guys tell me what you think, but I'll stop yammering on for now. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.